I'd like to move now on to the theme of this conference, which is GIS creating our future. Now, more or less, you and I think about the future every day. We are involved in the future. The future is us, maybe you might say. You think about the future of baseball. You think about your favorite sports team. You think about the future of the weather. Some of you are actually engaged professionally in predicting the future. And when I was researching this, I came across a quotation by Peter Drucker. He said, "The best way to predict the future is to create the future." It actually inspired me for this very talk. And, well, come to think of it, you and I live in two worlds. We live in a kind of ordinary world where we go to work every day. It's the real world that we live in. It's the world as things are. We operate in a kind of a stimulus response mode. You know, things happen, we respond, we go to work, we eat, we have our family, we have our friends. We live in that world, don't we? But we also live in this very interesting parallel world. I would call it the extraordinary world, which is the world of imagination and dreaming and thinking and creating. So we live in this ordinary world and this extraordinary world, both at the same time. And a good example of what I'm talking about is an architect. An architect imagines, and then they do all the planning and design, and they create, right? But you actually do this every day in your daily life. You imagine buying a house, and then you buy it. Or you imagine a career, or you imagine all sorts of things, and you then act on your imagination, or you create in your own way. It's about this extraordinary world that I want to talk about this morning with you, and do it in such a way that it involves you, or frame it in such a way that you understand it quite personally. You and I are also living in a world that's facing serious challenges. Population growth, urbanization, pollution, energy use, all of these things that we both confront, and some of you are working on, and also understand, is affecting climate change, is then in turn affecting our co-habitants of the planet, everything in the living world. This is not only affecting our little environment that we're living in, but it's also affecting actually everything. It's changing and creating severe climates. It's affecting drought. It's affecting food production. It's affecting, we're in kind of a little web of pretty interesting change. And this in turn is also affecting our social world, social controversies, social conflicts, social migrations. It's an unprecedented time. We've quadrupled the amount of population. We know these stories quite well, but think about it for a moment. This is our little world here. At this particular time, geography is more important than ever. That's my sense. That's all that I can make about it personally. The very work that you do is more important than ever. Geography as a science provides us the context and the content of our world. It provides a framework for understanding our world, bringing all our measurements together, analyzing them, visualizing them, understanding. It's not simply the physical geography that I'm talking about. It's also ecology, the interaction of plants and species, sociology, the interaction and patterns of economics, the money, the physical environment, and also human patterns are birthed and understood through geography as a medium. GIS is integrating geography into virtually everything we do. It's changing the way we think through seeing things differently. Catherine Sullivan, the head of NOAA, who's sitting right here in front of me, must have had her mind changed, her whole world changed when she became an astronaut and saw the world differently. We're going to hear more about that this afternoon. GIS is doing that for people. It's changing the way we see things in our little organizations and also at the planetary level. And it's also changing how we act. Understand, act. Richard Saul Wurman's understanding precedes action. GIS, your GIS, is evolving. Your GISs are becoming part of an interconnected platform. Your server is connecting up. Your desktops are connecting up. Your apps are being fed by shared community content. Not that you want to share everything, but certainly this trend is emerging. I like to call it web GIS. I don't mean simply web like the internet. I'm talking about web services, a new pattern. And it's co-evolving with everything else, like faster machines, web services, more open environments, more open policies, networks. So this is interesting times. WebGIS is bringing together all of our data, connecting it, our technologies, our people. It's creating, my sense is it's creating a framework where we can actually work on those very challenging problems that I talked about a moment ago. WebGIS is leveraging advancing technologies, the world of measurement, the world of computing, the world of networks. It's in a way layering on top of that infrastructure. People describe this as the cyber infrastructure, or other people have called it the Internet of Things, or there's other names for it. I like to call it the nervous system of the planet. WebGIS is layering on top of that, bringing to life into real use the planet's information and your information in various pieces, both inside your organization and beyond. WebGIS integrates all types of data, all types of information, organizing and sharing your own focused work through web maps and web services. Your maps are becoming web services. Your analytics are becoming services, and imagery as services, and real-time in situ data, and social media is being normalized through web services and web maps. A powerful framework, internet, enterprise data, even big data, through a common language of web services and web maps. And these are being served through portals. I mean, ArcGIS Online itself is now making between 1 and 200 million maps a day. And it's just beginning, actually. This is being implemented both in the open web, but it's also being implemented on premises in various organizations. And the app revolution is making this WebGIS, all of its content, available everywhere. Or the old cliche, anytime, anywhere, on any device, I can now access this new medium of web services and web maps, bringing GIS to life in whole new ways. And that, and a lot of other things in the WebGIS family, are transforming how GIS professionals work, how you do your work. It's improving how you organize and share your knowledge. It's enriching your own personal work because suddenly you're getting this new stream of information without having to go gather it all yourself. But it's also allowing you to support involvement in sharing and collaboration communities, sharing your data, sharing your maps, sharing your models, sharing your layers, sharing your workflows. The kind of community spirit that we have here is taking a new life in the web. And this is improving your own productivity, but it's also making everybody's GIS better. It's against this background that I want to talk about one of my favorite subjects, geodesign. Geodesign is a formal process that takes geographic information and links it to the design and decision-making and planning process using collaboration, building on the power of GIS into this cycle, allowing alternative plans to be looked at in virtual ways and compared and evaluated, and then better decisions made. For me, when I was first introduced to this methodology, This was almost 50 years ago by my professor, Carl Steinitz, who is someplace here in the audience, right here. Yeah, as a matter of fact, hi, Carl. I was overwhelmed. I mean, my God, the technology was not good, but Carl's brain made it come to life for me and actually set me on a course of my entire career. Now, some of you are right now thinking, well, oh, Jack, that's some landscape architect's thing, or that's for city planners, or some little niche-y thing like designers. No, geodesign is about designing the landscape, and it's equally interesting for business people wanting to locate stores as it is for people that want to farm. Farmers can use geodesign. In fact, they do. They do it manually, not leveraging this powerhouse of information that's there. In fact, if I look across all of the work that I saw in the last couple of weeks, geodesign has a role to play in almost everybody's activities. It's extending from the science side into the creative side, into the extraordinary world side, your work. So in some ways, I kind of want you all to become geodesigners. I mean, it's rather a big, it's rather presumptuous of me to suggest that you would do that, but I want you to have a thought about it. I want you to think about it this week. And I mean, I've thought about it a lot. I actually think it's about time that we move in this direction because the technology and all of the problems that we're having clearly need this kind of technology role. Creating a better future, and here's again a presumption by my part, I think requires GIS professionals. It's only you that actually can understand everything I'm talking about. Envisioning what's possible, understanding and embracing these web GIS tools and the tools of geodesign, and showing the leadership and doing the work, which you guys are quite good at doing. So during this week, I'll simply challenge you to think about this as we go along and talk about it. You might walk away saying, well, oh, that's just a Jack idea, a visionary slide or something like that. It's my sense that it's not. When I've watched your work for decades, I watched how you work. And I've also, well, I know a little bit about the technology and where it's going and what's happening around it technically. And my sense is this isn't just a possible thing. It's not just a probable thing. I think it's actually inevitable that you guys do it. So give it a thought.